I knew the exact moment she messed up. It was when she looked straight into my security camera, smiled like she was in a toothpaste commercial, and said, "I double dog dare you to tow me." And I remember thinking, "Ma'am, I measure land for a living. I literally make my money off lines. You can't see you really want to play this game." See, I'm a land surveyor, not just by trade, by personality. I'm the guy at a dinner party who can't help noticing if a fence is 6 inches off. My wife swears I can eyeball a room and tell you the square footage within 10 feet, and honestly, she's not wrong. Property lines aren't just lines to me. They're boundaries. They're rules. They're sacred in a nerdy kind of way. 4 years ago, we bought our place right next to a hiking trail and community park. Gorgeous area. Tall trees, birds in the morning, the smell of damp earth after rain. You could hear kids laughing down by the trailhead on weekends. It felt peaceful. Perfect. The house had this long driveway about 150 feet from the street, and at the very end was this wide paved turnaround that looked suspiciously public. I'll admit it, even I thought maybe it was shared space when we first toured the place. But when I pulled the survey and dug into the deed, oh no, every inch of that pavement ours. The lot lines stretched farther toward the park than anyone would assume. It was a weird quirk, probably why the house was priced lower. Other buyers didn't want the confusion. I didn't mind confusion. I mind trespassing. So I put up a simple private property no parking sign, nothing aggressive, just clear. For 2 years, smooth sailing. Occasionally a hiker would park there. I'd knock gently on their window, smile, explain they'd apologize and move. Easy. Then she showed up, late 50s. Brand new white SUV. The kind that still smells like dealership air freshener. First time I walked out to talk to her, she was pulling out her walking poles like she owned the place. I kept it friendly. "Hey there, just so you know, this is private property." She gave me this smile. "You know the one? The tight, polite, bless your heart kind." "Oh, I'm sure there's a misunderstanding," she said. "I'm the HOA president. I've walked here for years." That's when my internal surveyor alarm started ringing. We're not even in the HOA. But she kept talking about community agreements, shared usage, long-standing understandings. She said it like she was explaining gravity to a toddler. Then she hit me with unused pavement is wasted pavement. I just blinked. Because what do you even say to that? Over the next few weeks, she parked there 2 or 3 times a week. Every time, same smile, same condescension. She was never loud, never rude in an obvious way. It was worse than that. She treated me like I was confused, like I didn't understand how the adult world worked. One day she told me she'd brought it up at the HOA board meeting. Said they unanimously agreed it was community space now. Community space. On my deeded property. I asked for documentation. She waved it off. "Minutes will be available soon." Then she said she'd park there every day for a week to establish precedent. And then came the moment. She turned toward my security camera and said, "Tow me. I double dog dare you." You ever feel a switch flip inside you? Not anger, clarity. That night I sat at the kitchen table with my wife. The hum of the fridge, the smell of leftover pasta, and I told her everything. She was furious. But me, I wasn't mad anymore. I was methodical. Next morning, she parked again. I took photos, timestamps, angles, printed a formal notice, placed it under her windshield wiper. She crumpled it and threw it in our trash can. Day 2, same. Day 3, I added legal language about trespassing and towing at owner's expense. She knocked on my door holding the notice. "You're new here," she said. "You don't understand how things work." And then she dropped the line that sealed it. "This is my spot now. There's nothing you can do about it." Oh, okay. I called a towing company that afternoon, asked about procedure. They needed proof of ownership, documentation of notice, and confirmation of unauthorized parking. I had a folder, a beautiful, organized, color-tabbed folder. Next morning, she parked, waved at my house, taped a handwritten note on my door. "Stop wasting paper. This is my spot." That was the moment. I made the call. Tow truck arrived about an hour later. Big flatbed because her all-wheel drive SUV required one. Cost difference, significant. I handed the driver my folder, deed, survey, photos, notices, screenshot of her daring me on camera. He flipped through it and just said, "Man, you don't mess around." Loading her SUV took 20 minutes. A few neighbors wandered over pretending not to stare. I calmly explained repeated trespass, multiple warnings. Then the truck rolled off. About an hour later, I heard shouting, colorful, creative, impressive profanity echoing off the trees. She stood where her car had been staring at empty pavement like it betrayed her. She stormed up to my porch, mask gone, rage vibrating off her. "I'm calling the police." "You're welcome to," I said. They came, 2 officers, calm guys. She told them I'd stolen her car from community property. I invited them onto the porch, opened my folder, showed the survey, the photos, the notices, then the video. They watched her look into my camera and say, "I double dog dare you." One officer chuckled. The other asked her for HOA documentation granting authority over my property. She didn't have any. Officer asked what HOA this was because he wasn't aware of one covering my address. That's when the fluster started, the cracks. Turns out she was HOA president, just not mine. My property was outside their jurisdiction entirely. Officers explained it was civil, legal tow. She'd need to pay the impound lot. She stood there realizing authority isn't magic. That evening we looked up fees. Flatbed tow $300, storage $45 a day, negligent trespass classification added more. About $450 to get it back same day. But here's the twist she didn't see coming. I filed a formal complaint with her HOA management company. Included the footage of her claiming authority she didn't have. Documentation of misrepresentation, abuse of position. 2 weeks later, she was removed as HOA president, barred from board positions for 2 years, censured publicly in the neighborhood newsletter. The woman who tried to intimidate me with authority lost the only authority she actually had. A few months later, I ran into one of her former neighbors at the hardware store. He said she moved out shortly after. Fresh start, he called it. I installed a decorative gate after all that. Looks charming, locks securely. Haven't had a single parking issue since. Now here's the thing, the lesson didn't hit me until later. It wasn't about the $450, it wasn't about winning. It was about how easy it is for someone to bluff power, and how often people back down because they assume confidence equals authority. If I hadn't known property law, if I hadn't documented everything, I might have doubted myself. And that's how people like her win. Not through strength, through certainty. But real authority, it leaves paper trails. It holds up under scrutiny. Fake authority smirks at cameras. I almost feel sorry for her sometimes. She probably believed her own myth, thought connections would bend reality. But when those officers stood there on my porch and watched that video, you could see it click for her. Lines matter. Boundaries matter. And if you dare someone who understands them, well, you better mean it. So here's my question. Where's the line between standing up for yourself and escalating something that could have just been ignored? Was I petty, or was I right to enforce it all the way? Have you ever had someone try to bluff power over you, and did you call it, drop your thoughts? Tell me your story. Because I'll say this, sometimes karma doesn't need a grand speech. Sometimes it just needs a flatbed truck and a very organized folder